Greetings, everyone. Dr. Brian Scott. I decided to come back this week and finish up what we started last week, looking at verse number 8 in Matthew 24. Jesus said these will be the beginning of sorrows. I'm looking at current day sorrows to just highlight for you and point out for you that we're in the midst of change that does not necessarily mean good change. It's referring to the fact that things are confused, things are deceiving us. We're in the last days. Things are getting worse here as we speak. Last week, Saturday, we were looking at issues dealing with climate change and so on. And because of the climate change movement, the environmentalist movement, the green people movement, and so on, we're being faced with new taxes, new restrictions, new policies, and so on. And yet, once again, we don't know whether there's accuracy in their proposals or whether they are deceiving us, leading us down a garden path. I can't answer that question. But some of the decisions they're making are absolutely inane. They're crazy. I read in the Saturday newspaper, and this research I did was about 2 weeks ago now, but I read where New Zealand, they have a population of 5 million people, but they have 10 million dairy and beef cattle. So as you can tell, that's a major source of revenue for their nation and for their people. Cattle pass gas. They urinate. Apparently they burp. So the New Zealand government is proposing a burp and gas tax. I'm telling you the truth. This is exactly what was reported in the paper dealing with climate change, things going on that make no sense. They're proposing a burp and gas tax on the cattle. You know who pays it? The farmers. You know what that does to them? Reduces their income, makes it harder to earn a living, reduces the productivity. Oh, it just is a domino effect. Because they want to reduce the amount of methane in the air. I could almost say, give me a break. It is just so inane. But we have seen governments around the world doing things that are making a lot of decisions difficult for farmers. The Dutch, the Netherlands, they have imposed a proposal, they have brought a proposal where they want to reduce the nitrogen emissions by 50% by the year 2030. That is going to change the farming industry there. It reduces the amount of fertilizer that they have available to them. It will cause all kinds of domino effects in terms of the agricultural industry, which has led to all kinds of protests. Because did anyone think about the fact that we need farmers to produce food? And with famines worldwide occurring at an alarming pace and supply chain interruptions occurring since the pandemic occurred 30 months ago, we already have pressures on the food system, in the food chain. It's like these people in leadership positions don't think it through. Our Canadian government's proposing a similar type of reduction in the fertilizers being used out in our agricultural communities, especially in the western provinces. They want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 20% by 2030. This will put a heavy pressure on the fertilizer industry. Once again, did they think this thing through? So what we're seeing is a lot of confusion. We're seeing a lot of deception. Like, deception means you just end up making the wrong decisions all the time because you're deceived. And this seems to be a major issue today in our society, all the way around. And here's another thing about climate change. Who does it apply to? It applies to you and me. It applies to the population, the general population. The most recent climate change conference held attracted hundreds of attendees. I believe it was held in Iceland, in that area. And anyways, Iceland or the Scandinavian countries, I don't recall exactly. And of course, all of these delegates flew in on their big private jets, their government jets, and so on. But they're there to talk about reducing emissions, carbon emissions, and so on. And they flew in their big jets to get there. So it's obvious climate change doesn't apply to the elite, to the government leaders, the big business officials, nor does it apply to the countries who are the worst emitters like China and India, because nobody wants to get on their bad side. So this doesn't make any sense. And that's where the world is. It's not making sense anymore. Things are out of control. We're getting so close to the very end. I could summarize it this way. The Antichrist spirit in due course will introduce the Antichrist who will desire and will do everything possible to control the entire world. And we're already in the Antichrist spirit time. I'm going to try and wrap up tomorrow this series of current events, the sorrows that we're in. Please be with me. Thanks. Bye-bye.